Hello, my name is Keith, and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be talking to you about shadow work gone wrong. This needs to be talked about, because I've seen two people become possessed because they fell to shadow work. And yeah, possessed as in their own shadows. Within their own shadows lies things that they've attracted and become them. So this doesn't happen a lot. A lot of people, when they do shadow work, they'll do it in segments. They'll do it piece by piece. They'll get rid of whatever was causing them mental ailments, physical ailments, spiritual ailments, etc. Because this is a spiritual channel, and disclaimer, I only talk about things that are spiritual. Although, if your shadow work is that you don't want to face your own physical problems, then that's physical shadow work, okay? But shadow work affects every part of who you are, who your being is. If someone says they don't have a shadow, that person's lying, or they don't know any better. It's one of the two. When you do shadow work, the biggest thing that you're doing it correctly is that it's horrible and it's not fun. The worst shadow work is actually going to make you the strongest. I told you guys about my shadow work story. I thought about how to do an advanced shadow work ritual for people who actually want to do shadow work, but what's the worst thing that could ever happen? And I'm actually going to use someone as an example on this video because that person became a shadow. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is, but it's someone who was I let around me a while ago, and she became a very dark shadow. Let's just say that. I'm not going to say who it is, but I've never seen anything like it. But when people use a crystal such as obsidian, right? Obsidian is a crystal that is mineralized lava. Obsidian will literally heat things up and amplify them. So if you're causing people problems, but you're presenting yourself as a nice person, then guess what? It doesn't discriminate what that crystal will do. I tell people, and this is really important for people to know, the world's most evil people can actually come across as the world's nicest people. How is this? How can this be? It's because the enemy's intelligent. The enemy is not dumb. And what's the difference between a possession of a spirit and a possession of a demonic entity? The demonic entity is smart and not reckless. It'll take its time. It doesn't care how long it'll take. It likes a foothold. Not all of them. This is most of them. But when people are possessed by a spirit, you'll see it. It's pretty noticeable. It's because it brings the spirit energy and it gives the spirit light when people see that person flip out. But when that demonic entity wants to hop from person to person, because all they do is level up. So people working with demons, they'll actually they'll feed the demon to a certain point, and then it'll take off. It'll leave. It'll be like, ha, bye. And then you get the next very low thing. Oh, cool. I gotta show you guys this. The Portuguese man of war on the beach. Little poisonous jellyfish. Not fun. You don't get stung by them. You never want to get stung by them. Let me just put some sand over it. But guys, with shadow work, you're doing it correctly if it's horrible. If it's miserable, it's not fun. If things are from the past are popping up, things that you never knew that were inside you being just popped up left and right. And then once you deal with it, once it's at the surface, then it leaves. So if you've been suffering with something from your childhood your whole life, you work with a crystal such as obsidian, you do the advanced shadow work ritual that I taught you, and then you get rid of the shadow. You go through what you have to go through on the spot. Kind of like if you have an arrow in your shoulder, instead of living with the arrow and letting the scars go around the arrow, you pull it out. Sometimes some of you have shadows from past lives or lives before that or lives before that, and you trickle to this one because you thought they'd just go away by themselves. They don't. You got to deal with them. That's actually why a lot of you have shadows from past lives. And people ask, what did I do in a past life? It doesn't matter because that past life is the past and you're focusing on the present. So only in rare cases does it matter. It's cool to know sometimes. It's not overly helpful. There are certain rules where angels can't really teach you too much about past lives because it will take you back to the past. If you look into the abyss, you will become the abyss. Now, this is onto my story. With shadow work, the thing about this is you have to be very careful because if you're the problem, and you're not dealing with yourself, you're going to have trouble. The shadows will pop up, and you're going to look at the world very differently. You're going to look at the world as if, wait, and this is actually this is a sign of falling to shadow work. The biggest sign to falling to shadow work, because like I said, angels fell and they became demons. So the biggest sign to falling is you feeling like you have no more control anymore. You feeling like, okay, I can't do anything right. I can't live my life. Spirituality is too tough. And this is the same trend that I've seen people fall to shadow work. People will say, and this is the same thing over and over, I can't be perfect. And then you'll notice all the person's chakras begin to become unaligned. So every property of every chakra, you will see symptoms of those chakras kind of being as imbalances being amplified. So it'll start with the root chakra most of the time. Most of the time it will. So people will, and that's the fight or flight center. So people will be like, try to like get really angry. People will start getting really angry. And usually when you start following the shadow work, it's because entities are around. You're never alone in this world. Just know that. Doesn't matter what entities, but when you start doing shadow work and those shadows are not immediately dispelled, it attracts things. Those things can smell the shadows. I'm like, ooh, what's this? This person's past is what? This person's past negative energies are trying to be released. And you might have a tough day for a few days after that, and then you'll get better. And the shadows don't come back, and you heal past them, and it's not a part of you anymore. Make sure you're talking to God heavily when doing shadow work. Make sure you're doing extra prayers during shadow work. But the biggest sign is people feeling like they have to run away from their spirituality. And I've seen this. So an example is, for example, I have to be careful with examples I use, because I'm going to use people as an example. I don't want to use, and these people are from my past, not anyone who I talk to right now. So that no one I know is being used as an example right now. No one that I haven't really let loose at. I'm like, hey, calm down. Because when people start unraveling with their shadows will affect their family and the people they go out into in public and see. They'll start dispersing their shadows, taking their shadows out on other people because they haven't dealt with them. So this is a giant symptom of shadow work going wrong. When you half pull out the arrow and then you put the arrow back in. So when the shadow gets kind of amplified, released, and then it goes back in a little bit, it's not all the way in, but it's kind of still hanging out. So the arrow's kind of like hanging out of your shoulder. And the person will become nice, aggressive. So they'll be very sweet and very nice. And whatever entities around them will notice the shadows and then use the energy of the shadows. And that person will be taking it out on others for sure. That's a giant sign too. So shadow work gone wrong, first sign is when the person starts having methods of escapism, starting to, because it'll go through all the chakras, so the crown as well. They'll start questioning everything about their spirituality. They'll start thinking they can't do anything right. They'll want to run away. They'll lose passion. It goes up to the sacral chakra. So let me just do this in order of the chakras to not confuse you guys, because this is an intricate topic. I teach very intricate things on my YouTube channel that other people are not teaching about or not talking about. I don't ever sugarcoat anything, and it's when people hear the truth, they're like, "Oh, ow, what was that? What was that?" And then they'll use the truth to become constructive and to grow themselves and be like, "Wow, I actually grew. I grew past the situation. I didn't put up with this anymore." Like 10 years of your life going by and you're not dealing with a problem and the problem's still there. You want to live a life of abundance, but you're not willing to deal with what's blocking the abundance, which is you most of the time. Then yeah, there's a seagull here. Hello, bonsoir. Giant seagull. I don't normally see seagulls on this beach, but hello, bonsoir. I don't think I've ever seen a seagull on this beach when I'm walking out here. Guess it didn't speak. Never mind. Okay. But when it comes to dealing with shadows, I have fun when I'm alone. We're never truly alone, and the beach is pretty empty right now too. No one really here, except for people walking past. So when it comes to an imbalance with shadow work, people will experience imbalances of chakras. So shadow work starts at the root chakra. It always starts at the root. So obsidian's a root chakra crystal to help you guys remember. So when it comes to shadow work, people will be like, okay, they'll use a crystal such as obsidian because that's the shadow work crystal. That's how you properly do shadow work. And they'll amplify whatever kind of shadow, any kind of negative energy. They'll get it out, and sometimes go back in. So then it goes to the sacral chakra. How are you doing? Good. Good to see you. With shadow work, so it'll start triggering other chakras and causing imbalances in other chakras. So to make it easy to help you guys learn, the root chakra is the roots of the tree. So once the roots are poisoned and the shadow kind of backfires, then those roots trickle up the tree. So the person experiences lack of passion and they don't want to deal with their spirituality. They're running away from their problems with the root. They're running away or fighting their problems with the root chakra. Then they have no passion for life, no passion for what they're doing. They start losing a sense of who they are once they do shadow work. And this is specific to shadow work too. Or sometimes you guys have shadows amplified and released just because that's the point of your spiritual awakening where you're at. For whatever triggered it or caused it, sometimes it'll happen by itself, especially with certain situations. So now with the solar plexus, that person is now having foggy emotions. They're feeling blocked and drained and like they can't manifest. Their goals are not theirs anymore. They don't want to make goals. They don't want to be in this world. So that person won't be. They'll feel completely out of whack. The emotion center will be completely off, and that person will not feel good. Now, going up to the heart chakra, that person will question the energies of giving, receiving. Now, the person's not conscious of this, but they'll think like, I'm putting out too much and I don't get much back. Or I'm putting too much out and I'm not getting much back. Or I think I just said that. Or I'm getting too much. People will be like, maybe I'm just... And people actually won't say this. This will just be like, it'll have mannerisms or play out in the reality, or the person will become over needy. Oh, I don't think... And they'll just have a completely, really imbalanced heart. Their relationships will be affected. Their mind will be affected. Their soul will be affected. Everything's affected. So it'll start triggering all the way up the chakras. Now the biggest one is shadow work going wrong is the throat chakra. So the throat chakra, that person's not going to be communicating, or they're going to be yelling and screaming, or they'll actually do both. And when you're doing shadow work, I would like you to keep these in mind, guys. So I'm telling you what happens when shadow work goes wrong. You'll experience one of these, or all of them. Hopefully not all of them. And it's okay when you're first doing shadow work. Make sure you're away from people and keep in mind that this is what happens when you're doing shadow work. And it's, like I said, it's not fun. And with the third eye chakra, your intuition is flat out blocked. Your guides are not talking to you anymore. Not because they're not talking, but it just happens so you can't hear them. When you're in that kind of fluster, that kind of rage, that kind of imbalance with all the other chakras, you think you're going to be able to access the third eye chakra? No, your intuition's fully blocked. Your connection to your guides is blocked. Your gifts start becoming blocked. Crown chakra, again, then it goes back to the root. So your sense of spirituality is off. You don't want to deal with spirituality anymore. You're lost in this world. You don't know your purpose. You don't want to be here. So these are senses of shadow work gone wrong. This is really, really, really important for people to know, because a lot of you guys are alone doing this shadow work, which you're not alone. Most importantly, you have God, the help of your guides, and me to help you do this correctly. So when you guys do shadow work and you're not sure what you're feeling and it's really bad and you don't feel good and you're not feeling yourself, just know that it's a part of shadow work, and then all of this is released. So over the next 3 days, you work with crystals, you practice grounding, you realize, hey, everything's gonna be okay. I'm a little bit out of sorts right now, because we're the problem sometimes, well, most of the time, and we don't know it. And just calm down, play the hermit card, go into isolation mode, withdraw your energy, so just protect your energy, go in your shell for a few days. It is very healing to go in your shell, to nourish yourself, to meditate, to ground. Make sure if you're not doing prayers, I don't know what to tell you, because you can't just work with crystals, you can't just work with root herbs, you can't just work with universe. God is God. God made the universe. If you want actual help, you have to pray to God. You're not alone in this. And for the people, you guys know my channel, so if you're new here, welcome. Then you can ask help from your angels, because angels will not help you if you're not asking God. I'll tell you that right now. not as much. They won't help you directly. If you're asking something of your angels that you should be asking to God, then it'll take a while for you to realize that, and then you'll be corrected. Not in a fun way either, but like I said, talk to God first. Don't learn your lesson the hard way. Stop not asking for help. I have to make a video about that. Shadow work's pretty miserable, but you're like, okay, if shadow work does all of this, why do I want to do it? Like, it sucks. It's miserable. Because it's literally a thorn. Something you've been dealing with, something you've been experiencing, something that's been weighing you down. Think about for all the people watching my videos right now, think about a goal. Think about a reality, a place you would like to be in life. Think about a place, something that you'd like to become. And think about what's blocking you, what's stopping you. And a lot of you are going to start naming things or circumstances around you. And be like, well, I'm dealing with this person, and then, the people at work. It starts within. Your reality starts within. So shadow work actually is making you realize that you're the problem. People cannot face that, and that's the toughest thing in the world for anyone to face. It's like, hey, wait, you're the problem? It hurts. It hurts, and it's the most painful thing. That's the essence of shadow work. You are the problem. And people, even right now when I say that, it'll strike a nerve. Picture this, because we're humans. We're never going to be perfect, but if we know that we have to work on certain things, we're going to become better. We're going to grow. We're going to flourish. And I'm the harsh spiritual teacher and when I tell people, because I have told people who ask me for help, they're like, oh, Stone, what can I do for help? And I'm like, and I'll look at their whole situation. I'll just be like, you're the problem. You're causing people around you problems. You're breaking relationships. You're not communicating. You don't have the energy or the zest for life to be able to achieve your goals, and you're blaming people around you. You're the problem. Or if people are having problems with their relationship, etc., and they're saying, oh, my partner's not fair to me. Well, you're yelling and screaming at them. You're going missing for days, etc., etc., etc. That partner deserves to be on their own and not taking on your shadows at that present moment anyway. You don't need to be hurting your partner, whoever you're with. Don't drag anyone down. And with shadows will try to drag other people down because they're shadows. Shadows, when the light becomes blocked, it starts making a bigger shadow. So, yeah. And for people who don't like hearing that you're the problem, I guarantee, and I'll use a video game as an example. If you're playing a video game and you do nothing but lose, and you're on a team full of 10 people, and somehow every single team you're on, it's horrible. Every player is a garbage player, and people will yell and scream playing video games. If everyone's a bad player around you, and you're always losing, is it actually the teams, or is it you? And when you say you to people, they'll get mad and they'll bolt. Root chakra, fight or flight, what did I say? A lot of people, when I tell them, hey, you're the problem, you need to fix yourself, work with crystals, most importantly, move closer to God, then work on your connection with your angels. People, as soon as some people, when they're not ready to hear that answer, because a lot of people are like, oh wait, okay, I'm the problem. All right, let me just look at what I'm doing. Let me slow down. Let me put stop on a few things. Let me make sure I don't cause myself problems anymore, or people around me problems anymore. And then that's that. You actually grow as a person. When you man up and take responsibility for your actions is when you truly spiritually awaken, and you're spiritually awoken. But I told people before in the past, and there's a couple people who did this. I said, okay, to someone, you're the problem. They bolt, and this person's probably gonna watch the video. And he always uses me as an example. Oh, Stone Man yelled at me, but it's to help him. So he bolted for like 3 months. And then he came back and he's like, I went to these sidekicks and they all said that whoever gave you advice 3 months ago was correct. And I didn't want to hear it, so I kept going to different sidekicks. I'm like, you had to do all of that? I mean, I'm here to help you. I realize how shocking my advice is sometimes. I'm like, my angels will tell me which topics to give. And as I teach them, I'm like, this is harsh. How do I make this sound nice? Sometimes the truth doesn't sound nice. You can't sugarcoat it. You're not going to sugarcoat something like that's going to really help people. That's the problem in this day and age. Spiritualists, YouTubers, everyone online is sugarcoating stuff. And I make people sick to their stomach when I tell them, like, hey, you're not doing something right and it's causing you problems. Well, no, but the people at the work and in the workplace, what'd I just say? People can't accept that they're the problem. That's the hardest thing for people to realize. Shadow work, if you want your shadow work to not go wrong, the second you realize, you start perking up and you start looking around and like, okay, the world is starting to look grim. I can't do anything right. I don't like spirituality anymore. I don't want to talk to anyone. You start feeling really, really, and this is not amplified and released. It's just amplified. At that point, withdraw your energy and don't point your finger towards anything around you and just go in your shell. Go in your bubble and then let yourself rejuvenate so the shadow doesn't spread and so it doesn't go wildfire on yourself. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section, guys. I hope this helped you guys. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.